I walked into my own garage and found my wife wrapped around another man. The betrayal cut deep. Not just the cheating, but the sheer arrogance radiating from him. My name is Jake Morrison, and I'm 34 years old. Most people would have crumbled right there, but I'm not most people. I'm a former Navy SEAL, trained to assess threats and neutralize them with surgical precision. When Daniel Kim, Maria's martial arts instructor, looked me dead in the eye and challenged me to fight, he made the biggest miscalculation of his life. I didn't just accept that challenge, I weaponized it. I systematically dismantled his business, destroyed his reputation, ended his marriage, all while protecting every single asset in my divorce from Maria. Some people call that revenge. I call it justice. Real, consequential justice that ensures wrongdoers face the full weight of their actions. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, if you've ever been made to feel like a fool in your own home, understand this: you don't have to stay a victim. There's power in refusing to be walked over. This is the story of how I turned betrayal into total victory. Some men crumble when their world falls apart. I rebuilt mine on the ashes of those who wronged me. But let me start from the beginning. Before I go any further, let me know in the comments where in the world you are watching from, and make sure to subscribe, because tomorrow I will share a story you don't want to miss. The flight from Denver landed 2 hours early on Tuesday afternoon. I'd wrapped up the client meeting faster than expected, and the gate agent had managed to get me on an earlier connection. By 2:30 p.m., I was pulling into my driveway in Charlotte, looking forward to surprising Maria. After 12 years of marriage, I still liked making her smile. Her car sat in the driveway. Good, she was home. But there was also a black Mercedes I didn't recognize parked on the street. Probably one of her friends dropping by. I grabbed my carry-on from the back seat and headed for the side door that led through the garage. The door wasn't locked. I pushed it open, already planning what I'd say when I walked into the kitchen. Then I froze. Maria was against my workbench, half-dressed. Her tank top lay crumpled on the concrete floor. A man I'd never seen before had his hands on her waist. Asian, maybe 30, wearing a martial arts gi that hung open to reveal a fit, athletic build. Maria's fingers were tangled in his hair. For one frozen second, nobody moved. Then Maria saw me. She gasped and shoved the man away, her face going white. "Jake! Oh my God, Jake! Get dressed," I said. My voice came out flat, cold. The combat calm I'd learned in the SEALs settled over me like a familiar coat. The man didn't scramble for his clothes. Instead, he straightened up and crossed his arms, looking me over with an expression I recognized immediately. Arrogance, the kind that comes from someone who's never truly been tested. "You must be the husband," he said, almost smiling. Maria was pulling her shirt back on, tears already streaming down her face. "Jake, please, let me explain." "You," I pointed at the man, ignoring her. "Who are you?" "Daniel Kim. I own Elite Dragon Martial Arts downtown." He said it like I should be impressed. "I've been training Maria for the past 8 months." 8 months. She'd started going to that dojo 8 months ago, talking about getting in shape, finding a hobby. I'd encouraged her. "Training her," I repeated. "That what you call this?" "Jake, please." Maria reached for me. I stepped back, keeping my eyes on Daniel. "How long?" Maria's voice cracked. 3 months. "Jake, I'm so sorry. I never meant for this to—" 3 months! The number settled in my chest like a stone. Every time she'd come home from class, every time she'd kissed me goodnight, every time she'd looked me in the eye, 3 months of lies. Daniel actually laughed. A short, dismissive sound that made my jaw clench. "Look, man, these things happen." Maria wasn't happy. She needed someone who could actually satisfy her. The red haze started at the edges of my vision. I'd learned to control it in the teams, to channel rage into precision. Satisfy her. You think this is about satisfaction? I think this is about her finally being with a real man. Daniel took a step closer. Someone who can protect her. Someone strong. I almost smiled. Strong? Yeah. He gestured at his GI, the black belt hanging from his waist. 3rd degree black belt. Been training in martial arts since I was 6. I compete internationally. What are you? Some corporate desk jockey? Maria's eyes went wide. Daniel, don't… What am I? I tilted my head slightly. I'm the guy whose house you're standing in, whose wife you just had your hands on. And you want to talk about strength? I'm just saying, maybe if you were more of a man, Maria wouldn't have needed to find someone who could… I crossed the distance between us in 2 strides. Daniel's hands came up automatically in a fighter's stance, but I wasn't swinging. Not yet. I got right in his face. You have 10 seconds to get out of my house, I said quietly, or I will put you through that wall. He smirked. Actually smirked. You threatening me? Because I don't think you understand who you're dealing with. 5 seconds. Jake! Maria grabbed my arm. Please, don't do anything crazy. I shrugged her off without breaking eye contact with Daniel. 3. You know what? Daniel stepped back and spread his arms wide. You want to do this? Fine. Let's do this right now. You and me. I'll even give you the first shot. Daniel, stop. Maria was crying harder now. This is insane. Your husband wants to act tough. Let him prove it, Daniel said. He bounced slightly on his toes, hands up in a textbook fighting stance. Come on, tough guy. Take your shot. Let's see what you've got. The SEAL training whispered through my head. Assess. Adapt. Execute. Daniel was fit, trained, confident. He'd probably won dozens of tournament matches against opponents who followed rules, who tapped out when things got serious. He had absolutely no idea what real violence looked like. You're challenging me, I said. To a fight. Yeah, right here, right now. His eyes were lit up with the thrill of it. Unless you're scared. I looked at Maria. Her mascara was running, her face pale and stricken. Part of me, a small part, wanted to just walk away, file for divorce like a civilized person, let the lawyers handle it. But the larger part saw something else, an opportunity. Not here, I said. Too many things to break. Maria will just blame me for the damage. Daniel laughed. You're worried about property damage? That's hilarious. Your dojo, I continued, pulling out my phone. Tomorrow night. You, me, and whatever witnesses you want. Full contact. No rules. Make it official. His eyes widened slightly, then that arrogant grin spread across his face again. You're serious. Dead serious. Give me the address. I'll be there at 8 p.m. Maria grabbed my arm again, her voice desperate. Jake, no, you can't. He'll hurt you. He's a professional fighter. I looked at her. Really looked at the woman I'd married, the woman I'd trusted completely, the woman who'd just destroyed everything. Don't pretend you care about me getting hurt, Maria. Not now. She flinched like I'd slapped her. Daniel was already pulling out his phone, practically grinning. Elite Dragon Martial Arts, 423 Morrison Street. I'll have my students there. They're gonna love watching this. I took a photo of the address on my screen. Good. Be ready to call an ambulance. You're going to need one. For you, maybe, Daniel called after me as I turned toward the door to the house. I paused and looked back over my shoulder. No, for you. 8 p.m. tomorrow, Daniel. Don't be late. Maria followed me inside, words tumbling out in a desperate rush. Jake, please, you don't understand. I never meant for this to happen. I love you. We can work through this. We can go to counseling. Stop. I held up one hand. Just stop talking. But Jake, please. I'm going to my brother's house. I grabbed my car keys from the kitchen counter where I'd set them down a lifetime ago. When I come back tomorrow to get my things, I want you gone. Stay with your sister. Stay with him. I don't care. But don't be here. Where are we going to? What about us? Her voice broke completely. What about our marriage? I looked at her one last time. 12 years. Gone in 3 months of lies. You ended our marriage 3 months ago, Maria. I'm just making it official. I walked out through the front door, got in my truck, and drove across town to Ernie's place. My older brother took one look at my face when he opened the door and stepped aside without a word. He disappeared into the kitchen and came back with 2 beers, handed me one, and sat down in the armchair across from me. We drank in silence for a few minutes before he finally spoke. You gonna tell me what happened? Or do I have to guess? I told him everything. The garage, Maria, and Daniel. The challenge. Tomorrow night at the dojo. When I finished, Ernie sat back and whistled low. So you're actually going to fight this guy? Yeah. Jake, you could kill him. You know that, right? You've got SEAL hand-to-hand training. He's got tournament trophies. There's a difference. I'm not going to kill him. I took a long pull from my beer. But I'm going to make him wish I had. Ernie studied me for a long moment. I could see him processing it, running through the implications. My brother knew me well enough to know I wasn't acting on impulse. What's the real play here? That's when I felt the first real smile since walking into that garage cross my face. Because Daniel Kim thought this was about a fistfight. He thought this was about proving who was tougher, who was more of a man. He had absolutely no idea I was about to go to war. The fight's just the beginning, I said. That arrogant bastard challenged me in front of Maria. He's going to do it again tomorrow in front of his students, which means I'll have witnesses that it was consensual, that he wanted this. Ernie's eyes narrowed. And then? And then I'm going to beat him in front of everyone he's supposed to impress. I'm going to humiliate him in his own dojo, in front of his students, in front of anyone who thinks he's some kind of master. I leaned forward. And while he's dealing with that, I'm going to file for divorce. Adultery grounds. I'm going to take the house, the retirement accounts, everything. Maria gets nothing. What about him? Daniel? I'm going to destroy him, Ernie. His business, his reputation, his marriage. Yeah, I already looked him up on the drive over. He's married. Wonder if his wife knows he sleeps with students. I finished my beer. By the time I'm done with Daniel Kim, he'll wish he'd never laid eyes on Maria. Ernie was quiet for a moment, then shook his head slowly. You're not just fighting back. You're dismantling both of them. They dismantled my marriage. Turnabout's fair play. He stood up and got us 2 more beers from the kitchen. When he came back, he handed me one and raised his in a mock toast. To justice, then. The SEAL kind. I clinked my bottle against his. The only kind that matters. Wednesday morning, I walked into Vincent Parker's office at 9 sharp. He'd handled my father's estate a few years back. Sharp legal mind, expensive suits, and a reputation for being absolutely ruthless when it came to protecting his clients' interests. He stood when I entered, shook my hand, and gestured to the chair across from his desk. Jake, Ernie called me last night, said you needed to see me urgently. What's going on? I laid it all out, the affair, the garage confrontation, Daniel's challenge, tomorrow night's fight. Vincent leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled. You're going to fight him at his own dojo, in front of witnesses. Yeah. And you're confident you'll win? Absolutely. He pulled out a legal pad. Jake, I appreciate the confidence, but if you assault this man, you could face criminal charges, not to mention civil liability. I pulled out my phone and showed him the text messages Daniel had sent me that morning. More trash talk about the fight, confirming the time and place, bragging about what he was going to do to me in front of his students. He's documenting his own agreement to this, I said. Consensual fight. He challenged me. I have witnesses to that. This isn't assault. It's him getting exactly what he asked for. Vincent read through the messages, and something like respect crossed his face. That's actually smart. I want you to file divorce papers today, I continued. Adultery grounds. I want the house, the retirement accounts, everything. And I want it documented that Maria and Daniel Kim were engaged in an affair. That'll take a few days to... I don't care what it costs. Make it happen today. He made notes. What else? Research Daniel Kim. Business licenses, tax records, lawsuits, everything. I want to know every vulnerability he has. Vincent nodded slowly. You're not just fighting him. You're dismantling him. He dismantled my marriage. I'm returning the favor. I stood. Get me everything you can by tonight. I'll handle my own reconnaissance today. Jake, Vincent said, as I reached the door. Are you sure about this? Once you start down this road... I'm already on this road, I said. I'm just making sure I know where it leads. Elite Dragon Martial Arts occupied a renovated warehouse in downtown Charlotte. Exposed brick, modern lighting, floor-to-ceiling windows that let you see the training floor from the street. Through those windows, I watched Daniel leading a class of teenagers through kata drills. He moved well, confident, precise, every motion deliberate. Good. The harder he fell, the more satisfying it would be. I walked inside. A woman in a GI with a brown belt was working the front desk, early 40s, athletic build. Her name tag read, Grace Hubert, Assistant Instructor. Can I help you? She smiled professionally. I'm thinking about signing up for classes, I said. Been wanting to learn martial arts. That's great. What style are you interested in? Whatever Master Kim teaches. I nodded toward the training floor. That's him, right? Her smile dimmed just slightly. Yes, that's Master Kim. He primarily teaches Tang Soo Do and kickboxing. He married? I asked casually. The question caught her off guard. Why do you ask? Just curious about the owner, trying to get a feel for the place. I kept my tone friendly, harmless. He is married, yes. Her voice had gone careful. His wife Louise handles a lot of the business management. Louise. Good to have a name. Does she come around often? Sometimes. Grace was definitely uncomfortable now. Look, if you want to sign up for classes, I can get you a trial membership. Actually, I'm coming tomorrow night. Master Kim invited me. I showed her Daniel's texts. 8 p.m. Should be quite a show. Her eyes widened as she read. Wait, you're the... Oh, no. Oh, yes. I leaned on the counter. Tell me something, Grace. Daniel ever had affairs with other students? She stepped back. I'm not going to... Maria Morrison isn't the first, is she? Grace's silence told me everything I needed to know. The way her eyes dropped, the way her jaw tightened. She knew. She'd known for a while. How many? I pressed. I don't know what you're talking about. Sure you don't. I straightened. See you tomorrow night, Grace. Should be educational. I left before she could respond. I spent the afternoon at the gun range. Didn't plan to bring a weapon to the fight, but the rhythm of shooting helped me think. Assess, aim, fire. Assess, aim, fire. The same tactical mindset I'd need tomorrow night. After, I hit a sporting goods store, bought a mouthguard and hand wraps. The clerk asked if I was training for something. Just a friendly sparring session, I said. From the parking lot, I started making calls. Sam Roberts answered on the second ring. Jake Morrison. Been a while, brother. Too long, Sam. Listen, I need backup tomorrow night. What kind of backup? I explained. When I finished, Sam was laughing. You're going to fight your wife's boyfriend? At his own dojo? In front of all his students? That's either brilliant or insane. Both, I admitted. You in? Hell yes, I'm in. This I gotta see. Adrian White and B. Garcia both said the same thing. By 6 p.m., I had 3 former SEALs confirmed as friendly witnesses. Vincent's email came through at 7. I opened the attachment and started reading. Elite Dragon Martial Arts, 2 months behind on rent. Significant business loan debt. Revenue declining. Daniel and Louise Kim. Married 6 years. She'd filed for divorce once, 2 years ago, then withdrawn it, and buried in the civil court records a sexual harassment complaint from a former student, settled out of court for an undisclosed sum. I sat back in Ernie's guest room and stared at the ceiling. Daniel Kim wasn't just an arrogant asshole who'd slept with my wife. He was a predator, a serial predator who'd been getting away with it for years because people stayed quiet, because settlements bought silence, because men like him counted on their victims being too afraid or too ashamed to speak up. Not anymore. At 11 p.m., I lay in bed and felt something I hadn't felt in years. That mission clarity from my SEAL days. The absolute certainty that comes from having a clear objective and the skills to achieve it. Tomorrow night wasn't just about a fight. It was about making sure Daniel Kim never hurt anyone else again. And I slept better than I had in months. I pulled into the parking lot of Elite Dragon Martial Arts at 7:45. The place was lit up like a stadium, every window glowing. Through the glass, I could see maybe 40 people inside. Students in their GIs, parents in street clothes, all waiting for a show. They thought they were going to watch their master destroy some jealous husband. They had no idea what they were about to see. Sam, Adrian, and Bea climbed out of their vehicles and walked over. All three wore casual clothes, but I recognized the way they held themselves. Warriors never really stop being warriors. "You ready for this?" Adrian asked. "Born ready," I said. "Remember," Sam warned, "you're trying to humiliate him, not kill him. Big difference." "I know the difference," Bea grinned. "This is going to be fun." We walked in together. The crowd parted as I moved through it. I could feel the tension, the anticipation. Everyone here thought they knew how this would end. Daniel stood in the center of the training mat, wearing a traditional GI, black belt tied perfectly. He had 3 other black belts with him, intimidation tactics. The crowd whispered and pointed as I walked toward him. I wore jeans, a t-shirt, and running shoes. No costume, no ceremony, just function. "You actually showed up," Daniel called out. "Gotta admit, I'm surprised." "I keep my word," I said. "Unlike some people." His jaw tightened. "You want to talk about honor? Your wife chose me because you couldn't satisfy her. That's on you, buddy." The crowd gasped. Someone laughed nervously. I smiled. "Is that what you tell yourself? That all the students you sleep with choose you?" I raised my voice, addressing the room. "How many does that make now, Daniel? How many women has the great Master Kim seduced?" Dead silence. Grace at the front desk looked down at her clipboard. A few students exchanged glances. Daniel's face went red. "You don't know what you're talking about," he said. "Don't I?" I looked around at the crowd. "Anyone here know where Louise is? Daniel's wife? Did he invite her to watch this?" More uncomfortable silence. "She doesn't know about Maria, does she?" I continued. "Just like she didn't know about the harassment complaint from the student you paid off 2 years ago." "Shut your mouth!" Daniel's voice cracked with anger. "Or what? You'll fight me?" I spread my arms. "That's why we're here, isn't it? You wanted to prove how tough you are. So come on, Master Kim. Show everyone." He stepped onto the mat, breathing hard. "You're going to regret this." I followed him. The crowd pressed closer, forming a rough circle. One of Daniel's black belts stepped forward. "Rules?" he asked. "No rules," Daniel and I said simultaneously. The black belt backed away quickly. "Whenever you're ready," I said. Daniel moved first. Side kick aimed at my midsection. Good form. Tournament style. Meant to score points. I trapped his leg under my arm, yanked him off balance, drove my elbow toward his knee. He twisted frantically, pulling free before I could hyperextend the joint. Smart. He backed away, reassessing. The crowd murmured. That hadn't gone the way they expected. "You've had some training," Daniel admitted. "Some," I agreed. He came in again, faster. Jab, cross, hook. I slipped the first 2, caught the hook on my forearm, countered with a hammer fist to his floating ribs. Not hard enough to break anything. just hard enough to hurt. Daniel grunted and backed off. His breathing had changed. He was realizing this wasn't going to be easy. "What's wrong?" I asked. "Thought you were going to destroy me." "Shut up," he hissed. This time I advanced. Daniel threw a roundhouse kick. Textbook perfect. All his weight behind it. I stepped inside the arc, too close for the kick to have power, and drove my shoulder into his chest. He stumbled backward. I followed with a low kick to his lead leg, right on the nerve cluster above the knee. His leg buckled. He caught himself, but the confidence was draining from his face. "You wanted a fight," I said. "This is a fight. What you do in your tournaments. That's a game. This is real?" Daniel roared and charged, throwing wild punches. Anger had replaced technique. I rolled with the ones I couldn't slip, absorbed them on my arms and shoulders, then caught him in a clinch. My forehead cracked against his nose. Not a headbutt, just solid contact. Blood sprayed. The crowd gasped. Daniel shoved me away, hand to his face, red streaming between his fingers. "You broke my nose," he shouted. "You wanted no rules," I reminded him. He came at me again, more desperate now. Spinning back kick, flashy, powerful, telegraphed. I sidestepped and swept his planted leg. Daniel crashed to the mat. Before he could recover, I dropped onto him, controlling his arm, positioning for a shoulder lock. "Tap out," I said quietly, "or I dislocate it." "No!" He struggled, trying to power out. I applied pressure. The shoulder joint started to separate. Daniel screamed, "Tap! Out!" His free hand slapped the mat frantically. "I tap! I tap!" I released him immediately and stood up. Daniel rolled onto his back, clutching his shoulder, blood still pouring from his nose. The room was utterly silent. I pulled out my phone and took a picture of Daniel on the ground, bleeding and defeated. Then I looked down at him. "Here's what's going to happen, Daniel. I'm filing for divorce from Maria. Adultery grounds. I'm going to take everything, and then I'm going to destroy you." He blinked up at me through watery eyes. "What? Your business is underwater. That harassment lawsuit? I'm going to make sure every parent here knows about it." I smiled. "And Louise is going to find out about all your affairs, not just Maria. All of them. You can't... Watch me." I gestured at my 3 friends. "These men are witnesses that you challenged me, that this was consensual, so there's nothing you can do about what just happened here except live with it." I walked toward the door. The crowd parted like water. Grace caught my arm as I passed the desk. "He's not a good man," she said quietly. "I've known for a long time." "Then you should find a better job," I told her. Outside, Sam was grinning. "That was textbook." "Think it'll stick?" Adrian asked. "Oh, it'll stick." I pulled out my phone and forwarded the photo to Vincent. "By tomorrow morning, half of Charlotte will have seen this image." "What about Maria?" Bea asked. "That," I said, "is phase 2. Friday morning, I sat in my truck across from Elite Dragon Martial Arts, engine off, coffee going cold in the cup holder. The parking lot was empty. Through the windows I could see Daniel alone inside, hunched over the front desk, head in his hands. His dojo looked like a tomb. My phone buzzed. "Vincent." "Divorce papers were served yesterday morning," he said. "Maria's staying with her sister, signed for them herself." "Good." "And the emails went out Thursday afternoon. Every parent on Elite Dragon's mailing list got copies of Daniel's harassment settlement and photos from the fight." I watched Daniel through the window. He hadn't moved. "How bad is it?" "Grace quit this morning. 2 of his black belts quit yesterday. I'm seeing Facebook posts from parents pulling their kids, demanding refunds. His page is getting slammed." "What kind of comments?" "How could you hide this from us? My daughter was never safe here. You should be in jail." Vincent paused. "It's brutal, Jake. His reputation is completely destroyed. He earned it. There's more. Louise Kim filed for divorce this morning. Hired Barbara Wilson. She's the best in the city. Most aggressive attorney I know. I straightened. How'd Louise find out? Someone sent her emails, photos of Daniel and Maria, plus evidence of 3 other affairs. Vincent's voice carried a hint of amusement. You wouldn't know anything about that, would you? Can't imagine who'd do such a thing. Right. Well, Barbara's going for everything. Louise is done playing nice. I watched Daniel finally lift his head, staring at nothing. Yeah, buddy. This is what consequences look like. Maria called 14 times over the weekend. I didn't answer. Didn't even listen to the voicemails. What was there to say? She'd made her choices. I'd made mine. Sunday night, lying in bed at Ernie's place, my phone lit up with a text. Jake, please, we need to talk. I know I hurt you. I know I betrayed you, but I love you. We can fix this. Please don't throw away 12 years. I stared at those words. 12 years. She thought 12 years meant something after what she'd done? I typed back. You didn't throw away 12 years. You set them on fire. We're done, Maria. Move on. She called immediately. I answered. Jake, please don't do this. Her voice was raw. I made a mistake. I was confused and lonely, and Daniel said all these things. Stop. I cut her off. I don't want to hear about Daniel. I don't want to hear your excuses. You made a choice. For 3 months, you made that choice every single day. I ended it. After you found us, I told him it was over. Congratulations. You want a medal? Don't be cruel. Cruel. I laughed, bitter and cold. Maria, I haven't even started being cruel. Cruel would be posting those photos all over social media. Cruel would be telling everyone you know exactly what kind of person you are. I'm just divorcing you. That's mercy. She was sobbing now. Where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do? That's not my problem anymore. Figure it out. You're an adult. The house is mine. The retirement accounts are mine. Everything we built is mine because you destroyed it. I took a breath. You get your car, your clothes, and whatever money was in your personal account. That's it. Jake, please. I hung up. Monday afternoon, Maria's sister called. Jake, I need to talk to you about Maria. Not interested, I said. Please, just listen. I sighed. 2 minutes. She's not doing well. She's depressed, drinking too much. She can't find work because word's gotten around about the affair. She's broke, Jake. She's staying on my couch and I can't support her forever. Why are you telling me this? Because maybe you could help her. Give her some money to get back on her feet. No. Silence. She's your wife, her sister said. Was my wife. Past tense. She made her choices. She knew what she was doing when she decided to sleep with Daniel. She knew she was risking everything. And she did it anyway. I kept my voice flat. I'm not responsible for the consequences of her actions. You're being cruel. I'm being just. There's a difference. Maria wanted excitement. She wanted passion. She wanted someone strong who could satisfy her. Well, she got it. And now she gets to live with the aftermath. Jake, tell Maria I hope she figures things out, but tell her not to contact me again. We're done. I hung up and blocked the number. Monday evening, Vincent called. Divorce will be final within weeks. Judge ruled in our favor on everything. House is yours, retirement accounts are yours. She gets nothing but what she brought into the marriage. She tried to fight it? Her lawyer tried, but the evidence was overwhelming. Photos, texts, witness testimony. Judge wasn't sympathetic. I sat back in my chair, feeling something settle in my chest. Peace, satisfaction, justice. Good, I said. That's good. 2 weeks and 2 days after I'd walked into my garage and found my life in pieces, I drove past Elite Dragon Martial Arts one more time. The place was dead, completely shuttered. A bright orange eviction notice plastered across the glass door, and through the windows I could see the empty training floor. No students, No mats, just Daniel's failure on display for everyone to see. I parked across the street and watched for a minute. There was a smaller sign taped beneath the eviction notice. Estate sale, today at noon, all equipment and furnishings sold to satisfy outstanding debts. I checked my watch. 11:45. Perfect timing. The auction was pathetic. Maybe a dozen people showed up, most of them looking for cheap workout equipment. The auctioneer, some tired guy in a rumpled suit, went through the inventory fast. Heavy bags, mats, weight benches, all of it going for pennies on the dollar. Then he held up a trophy. Tall, gold-plated, with a martial arts figure on top. Third place, Southeast Regional Tang Soo Do Championship 2019. Do I hear $20? Nobody bid. $10? I raised my hand. $50. The auctioneer blinked. Sold. I walked out with Daniel's trophy under my arm, drove straight home, and put it on my mantel. Right there in the living room where I'd see it every day. A permanent reminder that arrogance gets crushed. That afternoon, Vincent called. Louise's attorney found something interesting, he said. Daniel had offshore accounts, been hiding money for years, probably skimming from the dojo's cash payments. How much? About $60,000. Louise's lawyer found all of it. I smiled. She's taking him for everything, isn't she? Everything. The house, the savings, the investments, all of it. Daniel's going to be paying alimony for 5 years on top of losing everything else. Vincent paused. I heard he's working at Planet Fitness now. Personal trainer. From martial arts master to gym employee in 3 weeks. That's what you call a fall. Good, I said. He earned it. An hour later, Maria's sister called again. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. What? I said. Jake, please. Maria's getting worse. She's not eating. She's drinking every night. She can't get a job anywhere because everyone knows about the affair. She's desperate. And I can't keep supporting her. I have my own family, my own bills. She needs help, Jake. Your help? No. She's your wife. Was. Past tense. I kept my voice cold. She made informed choices, knowing the risks. She knew what an affair would cost her. She did it anyway. You're being cruel. No, I'm being just. There's a difference. I stood up and walked to the window, looking out at my yard, my house, my life. Maria wanted excitement. She wanted passion. She wanted someone strong who could satisfy her. Well, she got exactly what she wanted. And now she gets to live with the consequences. She's suffering. So was I. For 3 months while she was sleeping with Daniel. You didn't call me then to see if I was okay. Silence on the other end. Tell Maria to figure it out, I said. She's an adult. Adults face consequences. I hung up. Vincent called back 30 minutes later. It's done, he said. Divorce is final. Judge ruled completely in your favor. Everything. House, retirement accounts, marital assets. All yours. Maria gets her car, her personal belongings, and whatever was in her individual account when you got married. I sat down on the couch, Daniel's trophy catching the afternoon light on the mantel. Jake? You there? Yeah, I said. I'm here. How do you feel? I looked around the house. Our house. No, my house now. The furniture we'd picked out together, the paint colors Maria had chosen, the life we'd built, all mine. And for the first time since I'd walked into that garage, I felt the weight lift. That crushing pressure that had been sitting on my chest for weeks just dissolved. Peace. Pure, clean peace. I feel good, I said. Really good. Ernie showed up that evening with pizza and beer, like he knew I needed company. We ate in silence for a while, just brothers sharing a meal. Finally, he spoke. You doing okay? He asked. Yeah, actually, yeah. You don't sound heartbroken. I thought about that. I think I've been mourning this marriage for a while. I just didn't realize it until now. Ernie nodded slowly. What do you mean? The woman I married wouldn't have done this. Wouldn't have cheated. Wouldn't have lied for 3 months straight. Wouldn't have brought another man into our home. I took a drink. So maybe she was never real to begin with. Maybe I just wanted to believe in her so badly that I ignored what was actually there. That's pretty deep, man. Yeah, well, 2 weeks of processing will do that. Ernie smiled. What's next for you? Next, I rebuild. New life. Clean slate. And Maria? Daniel? They're done? I looked at the trophy on my mantle. They're done. Trust me. That night at 10, I sat alone on my back deck with a beer, watching the last light fade from the sky. The air was cool, quiet, peaceful. I thought about the man I'd been 3 weeks ago. Married, committed, building a life with someone I thought I knew. That man was gone. The man sitting here now was stronger, clearer, free. I raised my beer to the sunset and smiled. Wednesday morning, my phone rang at 9 sharp. Unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something made me answer. Mr. Morrison? This is Grace Hubert, from Elite Dragon. From Daniel's former dojo. I sat up straighter. I remember you. What can I do for you? I wanted to apologize. Her voice was quiet but steady. For not saying something earlier. I knew Daniel was sleeping with students. I suspected he and Maria were together. I should have said something to someone. To you. To Louise. To anyone. Why didn't you? Because I was scared of losing my job. Because I told myself it wasn't my business. Because I kept my head down and pretended everything was fine when I knew it wasn't. She paused. Because I was a coward. Takes guts to admit that, I said. I wanted you to know I'm testifying in Louise Kim's divorce proceedings. Everything I know about Daniel's affairs, his harassment of students, the complaints that got swept under the rug, all of it. He's not going to just walk away from this. Good, I said. He doesn't deserve to. Thank you for exposing him, for making sure he couldn't keep doing this. I didn't do it for you, Grace. I did it for me. I know, but it still mattered. That Saturday, Sam called. Hey, we're having a reunion next month. Bunch of guys from the old unit? Virginia Beach. Long weekend. You should come. I'll be there, I said, without hesitation. Good man. Hey, how'd everything shake out with your situation? Complete victory. Divorced, got everything. She's broke and miserable. Sam laughed hard enough I had to pull the phone away from my ear. That's cold, brother. That's justice, I corrected. She wanted to play games. I played to win. And the boyfriend? Working at Planet Fitness, living in a studio apartment, lost his wife, his business, his reputation, everything. Damn. You didn't just win. You annihilated them. They annihilated themselves, I said. I just accelerated the process. The following Saturday, I went hiking. Solo trek. 2 days. Just me and the Blue Ridge Mountains. Maria had hated camp, hated being uncomfortable, hated mosquitoes and dirt and sleeping in a tent. So we'd never gone. I'd forgotten how much I loved it. At the summit of Looking Glass Rock, I stood in the wind and looked out over the valley. Miles of forest, mountains folding into mountains, sky stretching forever. I thought about the man I'd been 12 years ago, before marriage, before compromise, before slowly losing pieces of myself to keep someone else happy. That man had been strong, confident, dangerous when he needed to be. I'd found him again. On the drive home, Sunday afternoon, I stopped at a gun range. 2 hours of shooting. The rhythm, the precision, the focus. It all came back like muscle memory. A woman in the lane next to me was shooting a Glock with solid form. When we both finished our sessions, she smiled. Nice grouping, she said. Thanks. Yours wasn't bad either. Elsie Stewart. She offered her hand. Jake Morrison. You former military? You shoot like someone with training. Navy. You? Army. Military police. She holstered her weapon. You doing anything right now? Because there's a decent Mexican place down the street, and I could use some tacos. I looked at her. Red hair pulled back in a ponytail. Gray eyes that had seen things. No wedding ring. Confident smile. The kind of woman who knew how to handle herself. Tacos sound good, I said. We talked for 3 hours. She'd been divorced 2 years. No kids. Worked corporate security now. Deployed to Afghanistan. Saw combat. Came home different. We had more in common in 3 hours than Maria and I had built in 12 years. So, what's your story? She asked finally. Why's a good-looking former SEAL shooting alone on a Saturday? I gave her the short version. Wife cheated with her martial arts instructor. I caught them. Fought him at his own dojo. Divorced wife. Got everything. Elsie laughed. You fought him? At his own dojo? In front of all his students. That's amazing. Did you break anything? His nose. And his pride. She raised her margarita. To justice. I clinked my glass against hers. To new beginnings. We saw each other 3 more times that week. Coffee Tuesday morning. Dinner Wednesday night. Shooting range. Friday afternoon. On the 4th date, Saturday evening at her place, she kissed me in her driveway, then pulled back and studied my face. You're not carrying baggage, she observed. Most divorced guys are still angry or bitter or sad. You're not. I processed it, dealt with it, resolved it. I met her eyes. I'm done looking backward. Good. She kissed me again, longer this time. Because I'm only interested in moving forward, not dealing with someone stuck in the past. 3 months later, I stopped for gas on a Tuesday afternoon. It was one of those ordinary moments. Sunny day, half-empty station, classic rock playing through my truck speakers. I swiped my card and started filling up. That's when I saw him, Daniel Kim, across the pump island, filling up a beat-up Honda. He looked like hell. Thinner. Older, wearing a Planet Fitness polo and sweatpants that had seen better days. The confident martial arts master who'd screwed my wife in my garage had been replaced by this hollow version. Our eyes met. For a second, neither of us moved. Then I smiled and walked over. Daniel, how's life treating you? He stared at me with something between fear and pure hatred. What do you want? Nothing. Just being friendly. I leaned against his car. We have history, after all. You destroyed my life, he said quietly. No, you destroyed your life. I just made sure everyone knew about it. I crossed my arms. How's the personal training going? You still teaching martial arts? His jaw clenched. I work at a gym. Right, Planet Fitness. Big step down from owning your own dojo, huh? Screw you. Been there, done that. Got the divorce papers to prove it. I straightened up. You know what's funny, Daniel? You thought you were so tough. Black belt, tournament champion, all that. But you weren't tough. You were just good at playing a game. And you're what? Some kind of badass? His voice dripped contempt. You sucker punched me. I beat you in a fair fight that you challenged me to. I stepped closer. In front of witnesses. Remember? You were so confident in your skills that you couldn't imagine losing. That's called arrogance, Daniel, and arrogance always gets punished. You took everything from me. I took nothing you hadn't already lost. You destroyed your marriage by cheating on Louise. You destroyed your business by sleeping with students. You destroyed your reputation by being a predator. I smiled. I just made sure everyone found out. His hands were shaking. For a second, I thought he might take a swing at me, but he remembered what happened last time. Fear flickered across his face. You're a monster, he said. No, I'm justice. There's a difference. I walked back to my truck, finished pumping, and drove away. In my rearview mirror, I saw him standing by his Honda, looking utterly defeated. I didn't feel bad for him, not even a little. That evening, Elsie and I had dinner with Ernie and Daisy. They'd been skeptical about my new relationship at first, but Elsie won them over immediately with her sharp sense of humor and complete lack of bullshit. "So you're dating my brother," Ernie said over dessert. "What's that like?" "Refreshing," Elsie said. "He's direct, honest, doesn't play games." "That's one way to describe him," Daisy laughed. "Ruthless might be another." "Only to people who deserve it," I said. "Speaking of which," Ernie said, "I heard Maria's working at a call center now. Minimum wage, cubicle job." I shrugged. "Good for her. She's employed." "You don't feel even a little bad?" Daisy pressed. "Not even a bit of guilt?" I thought about it honestly. No. She made choices. I made choices. We both have to live with the consequences. She chose to have an affair. I chose to protect myself and make sure she couldn't take anything from me. Those seem fair. "Very seal of you," Elsie said. "Emotional compartmentalization. Is that a problem?" "Hell no. I find it incredibly attractive." She squeezed my hand. "You know what you want. You go after it. You don't waste time on regret. That's rare." Later, at Elsie's apartment, we sat on her balcony drinking wine. She'd been quiet since dinner. "What are you thinking about?" I asked. "How lucky I am that Maria was an idiot." I laughed. "How do you figure?" "Because if she'd been smart enough to appreciate what she had, you wouldn't be here with me." Elsie turned to look at me. "You're a good man, Jake. Tough when you need to be, but good." She threw that away. "Her loss," I said. "Definitely her loss." Elsie leaned over and kissed me. "And my gain." We sat there holding hands, looking out at the city lights. For the first time in years, I felt genuinely content. 6 months after the divorce, I got a letter from Maria. It arrived on a Thursday afternoon, handwritten on expensive cream-colored stationery. My name and address in her familiar script. I stood by the mailbox holding it, debating whether to just throw it away unread. But curiosity won. I sat at the kitchen table and opened it. "Dear Jake, I don't expect you to respond to this. I don't expect forgiveness or understanding. I just need to say some things, and you deserve to hear them. I'm sorry. Not because of what I lost, but because of what I did to you. You gave me 12 years of your life. You were faithful, dedicated, present, and I threw it all away for excitement and validation from someone who didn't deserve either. Daniel wasn't special. He wasn't better than you. He was just there, saying things I wanted to hear, making me feel things I thought I'd lost. I was weak. I was selfish. And I hurt the best man I've ever known. I don't blame you for what you did. I know everyone thinks you were cruel or vindictive, but I understand why you did it. You protected yourself. You made sure I couldn't hurt you anymore. That's not cruelty. That's survival. I'm doing better now. I have a job at a call center, a small apartment. I'm in therapy. I'm learning to live with who I am and what I did. Some days are harder than others. I heard you're seeing someone. I'm happy for you. I mean that genuinely. You deserve to be happy. You deserve someone who appreciates you. I don't expect to hear from you. I just wanted you to know that I'm sorry, and that I understand why our marriage ended. It wasn't your fault. It was mine. Take care of yourself, Jake. Maria. I read it twice. Then I folded it carefully and put it in a drawer. Not because I was keeping it for sentimental reasons, just because it felt like the right way to close that chapter. I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say. 2 months later, Elsie moved in. She fit into my life seamlessly, shared my love of hiking and shooting, didn't mind my occasional need for solitude, brought her own strength and independence to the relationship. One Saturday morning, we were having coffee on the deck when she asked, "Do you ever think about what would have happened if you'd handled things differently? If you'd just filed for divorce and moved on without the fight, without dismantling Daniel?" I considered it. Sometimes. And I think I'd have regrets. Not about divorcing Maria. That was inevitable. But I'd have regrets about letting Daniel get away with it. He'd hurt other women. He'd continue to hurt other women. By destroying his reputation, I made sure he couldn't do that anymore. At least, not easily. So it was about protecting other people? Partly. Mostly, it was about justice. He took something from me. I took everything from him. That's fair. Elsie smiled. You're a complicated man, Jake Morrison. Is that a problem? Not even a little bit. That afternoon, I got a call from Grace. Mr. Morrison, I wanted to let you know. Louise's divorce was finalized last week. She got everything. Daniel has to pay alimony for 5 years. He's also been blacklisted from teaching martial arts professionally. Good, I said. He doesn't deserve to be around students. I testified about everything. The affairs, the harassment, all of it. She paused. I should have done it years ago. I'm sorry I didn't. You did it when it mattered. That's what counts. Thank you for everything you did, for exposing him. I didn't do it for you, Grace. I did it for me. But I'm glad it helped. That evening, Elsie and I sat on the deck watching the sun go down. How do you feel? She asked. About everything with Daniel and Maria? Satisfied? Complete. I looked at her. Like the universe balanced itself out. No guilt? Why would I feel guilty? He earned everything that happened to him. She earned everything that happened to her. She nodded. You're really good at letting things go, aren't you? Once you've dealt with them, you just move on. SEAL training. You complete the mission, you debrief, you prepare for the next one. No point dwelling on the past. I could learn from that, Elsie said. You already do it. That's why we work. She kissed me. Yeah. We do work, don't we? A year after the divorce finalized, I sat in a downtown Charlotte coffee shop meeting a contractor about renovations to the house. Elsie and I wanted to redo the master bathroom. Fresh start, new fixtures, nothing that reminded me of the past. The contractor, Mike Patterson, recommended by Ernie, was showing me tile samples when the door chimed. I glanced up. Maria walked in. She'd changed. Shorter hair, cut conservatively just above her shoulders. Thinner, almost gaunt. Dressed like she was heading to a job interview. Conservative blouse, slacks. She looked older. Worn. Our eyes met. She froze. The woman with her, someone I didn't recognize, said something, but Maria just stood there staring at me. Then she walked over. Jake, she said quietly, can we talk for a minute? I looked at Mike. Give me 5 minutes? He nodded and stepped outside to take a call. Maria sat down across from me. Up close, the changes were even more pronounced. Dark circles under her eyes. Lines around her mouth I didn't remember. But there was something different in her expression. Something clearer. How are you? She asked. Good. You? Better than I was. She folded her hands on the table. I got your address. The letter you didn't respond to? I got it. You didn't write back. There was nothing to say. She nodded, accepting that. I just wanted to say, in person, that I'm sorry, and that I'm glad you're doing well. Okay. Are you seeing someone? Yeah. Elsie. We've been together almost a year. Something flickered in her eyes. Pain, maybe? Regret. Is she good to you? Very good. She's what I needed. I'm glad. She meant it, I could tell. I heard about Daniel, about everything that happened to him. Not my problem anymore. Do you feel like you got revenge? Was it worth it? I thought about that question honestly. It wasn't about revenge. It was about justice. And yes, it was worth it. He needed to be stopped. You both needed to face consequences. I have, she said softly. Every single day. We sat in silence for a moment. I should go, Maria said finally. I just wanted to see you, to tell you I'm sorry one more time. Okay. She stood up, then paused. Jake, I know you probably won't believe this, but I loved you. I did. I just lost myself somewhere along the way. Forgot what I had. Yeah, I said. You did. She walked away. I watched her leave, felt absolutely nothing. No anger, no sadness, no lingering attachment, just closure. Mike came back in. Everything okay? Everything's perfect, I said. Let's talk about those renovations. 2 years after the garage discovery, Elsie and I got married. Small ceremony in the mountains. Sam, Adrian, Bea, Ernie, and Daisy were there. My mom cried. Her dad gave a speech about how former soldiers make the best husbands because we know how to commit. No drama, no complications, just happiness. We honeymooned in New Zealand, hiking, exploring, living. On our last night there, sitting on a beach watching the sunset, Elsie asked me if I ever thought about Maria and Daniel. Sometimes, I admitted. Not often. What do you think about? How I could have been weaker. How I could have just taken the betrayal and moved on without fighting back. How that would have eaten at me for years. But you didn't. No. I fought back. I made sure they faced consequences. And because of that, I don't have regrets. Do you know what they're doing now? Elsie asked. I pulled out my phone and showed her a Facebook post Sam had sent me last month. Daniel was working security at a shopping mall. His profile picture showed him in a cheap uniform, looking miserable. Maria was still at the call center, still single, still living in her tiny apartment. They destroyed their own lives, Elsie observed. They did. I just made sure everyone knew about it. She leaned against me. You're kind of scary, you know that? Only to people who cross me. Good thing I'm on your side. Good thing, I agreed. I thought about it all, how justice isn't always pretty, but sometimes it's exactly what's needed. Daniel learned the difference between competition and real consequence. Maria learned the cost of betrayal. And me? I learned I deserved better, that I could fight back and emerge stronger. We stayed on that beach until the stars came out, talking about our future, the house we'd buy together, the trips we'd take, the life we'd build. A life built on truth and respect and genuine partnership. Every time I thought about them, Daniel and Maria, broke and alone, I felt deep satisfaction, not because I'm cruel, but because the universe had balanced itself. They got exactly what they deserved. And so did I. I believe stories such as this find us for a reason. If this one touches you, please subscribe. I share a new one every day. In the meantime, there are 2 stories on the screen that are even better.